Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about some tarantula tea, as you might say. I guess I just wanted to kind of briefly talk about this because it kind of just happened recently and people are kind of discussing it, so I just thought I would say a few words of my own since some of it does kind of involve me. So basically, I don't know if you guys are all going to be familiar with this channel, but I recommend them. It's Dave's Little Beasties, and he's a little bit newer, I guess, to tarantula YouTube. It seems like he kind of came out of nowhere and his channel has just grown rapidly. His content is really good. If you like my enclosures, you will absolutely love his. He has a ton of experience. You can tell that he's been doing this for years and years. He's very knowledgeable and he's also been like super nice to me and the community. So yeah, check out his channel. I will link it down below. But basically, some context. If you follow Pecco or the Dark Den on Instagram, you will have seen that he made a post, which is this, basically calling out some commenter that was promoting Dave's content by calling Pecco's like trash or BS or something and telling Pecco's audience to go to Dave's Little Beasties because he's just so much better than Pecco and whatever. This has been going on for months. I've been getting these comments a lot. I know Richard from the Tarantula Collective has. A couple other smaller tarantula YouTube channels were also getting the comments basically of Dave's Little Beasties super fans kind of coming onto our platforms to promote his platform, which is already just kind of like disrespectful, but the fact that they were promoting Dave's platform by calling our content bad and like targeting our audience and saying, oh, this person's work is so much better, this person's content so much better, this person sucks, come to this channel. It was not very nice. So I know before Pecco had posted that, I had talked to other creators asking if they were getting the comments, and it wasn't just me. So yeah, Pecco ended up posting that. I guess he just kind of snapped a little bit, which we all of us do from time to time. It just comes with, I guess, the territory. When you do YouTube, you get hate, and some days you handle the hate better than other days. And I guess this was one of those days that Pecco had just kind of gotten ticked off enough to actually make a post about it. So he did, which kind of sparked a chain reaction and prompted Dave to make a video kind of calling out that behavior and saying that he does not condone his viewers to do that to our platforms.
And I'd like to state here and now that I do not condone any of this type of behavior.
Also mentioning how he supports us, and I will say before that video even came about, he had congratulated me, I think recently when I hit 100K and stuff like that. So he's always been like really sweet, really supportive of our channels. So I never was like holding it against him, essentially, when I would get those comments. And Pecco wasn't either. I know Richard wasn't. Nobody was like holding it against Dave. It was just bizarre that we were all getting these like spammy comments, and I don't know if it was like one person with a lot of accounts or if it was just like multiple people. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Put a filter on my channel. It's not happening anymore. If somebody tries to do it, it just goes straight to spam, so I won't see it. Nobody else will see it. They'll be the only ones to see it. So when Dave made his video, I did comment and I said, don't worry, I don't take it as an attack from you. Glad you have built such a supportive audience, blah, blah, blah. And then I went on to say I agree with what he had said and that we are all doing the same thing, but what keeps it interesting is that we are all different people with different personalities and different places. Everyone can offer something another cannot. Essentially, after Dave made that video, I did get a little bit more spam before I put the filter on my channel, basically again telling me how much better Dave is. And I know this is a little bit like feeding the trolls, but it has to be done to get to my point. But this person took it upon themselves to spam my channel after Dave's video before I put the filter on. They spent at least an hour watching my videos, and I can tell that they've watched a lot of my content by the comments that they left. So it's just really bizarre to me that if they like really don't like my channel, why they spend so much time watching my content. I don't know. It never makes sense to me, but whatever. So one of the comments that kind of stood out to me was pretty much taking what I said and commenting, but like being really condescending about it. And they said, every keeper has their own specialty. Pecco is the engineer spider keeper. He makes and designs his own enclosures and designs. Richard is the cool dude spider keeper. He always has good band shirts and music going. Dave is the professor spider keeper, knowledgeable and calm. Kat is the I'm not like other girls spider keeper. She brings elf ears to the table and constantly stresses herself and her animals out. So yeah, I can tell that they read my comment on Dave's video and just kind of like came to my channel to keep it going. And I posted on Instagram that comment, to which I got a couple strange responses, and I wanted to talk about that today because this is like something that really, like, I don't get it. And if somebody wants to explain it to me, that's fine. But a criticism that I get from time to time is that my husbandry is like bad. I don't understand how my husbandry is bad, because like, first of all, keeping a tarantula is not complicated. We know that people overcomplicate the hobby a lot, and it's actually really simple. You pretty much just need an enclosure, dirt, usually a water dish helps, and a hide. It's not that difficult. But when I posted on my Instagram story, I got a response. They said, I'm genuinely a horrible keeper and my husbandry is depressing. So normally I ignore comments like this and I just keep it going because it's just kind of a waste of time. But because of all the events that had happened recently, I thought, okay, I'll entertain them. I will respond and I will see specifically what is wrong with my husbandry. And I said, what's wrong with my husbandry? I'm all ears. To which they told me, you have tons of people in the hobby talking about your husbandry issues. When someone tries to point out an issue with it, you never correct it. You also stress out your teeth for no reason. I cannot think of unless I'm missing it, I cannot think of a single husbandry issue that somebody's pointed out to me that I haven't fixed, let alone one that I have had to fix. Like, I can't think of any specific issue where somebody's like, oh, you need to do more substrate or something like that. I cannot, at least in the past couple years, I can't think of a single situation where people were commenting that there was something wrong with my husbandry and I needed to change something. If somebody gives me a suggestion and it's better than what I'm doing, I'm pretty open to that. I'm pretty receptive to that criticism, especially because it benefits my animals. And yeah, I will change something. If somebody says something should be changed, obviously there's always going to be conflicting information. There's always going to be people that say this would make it better or this would make it better. But if I have a comment section and there are a lot of comments saying, you should change this, you should change this, and it's all the same thing, then from there, I'm going to say, okay, I have 20 people telling me that this is wrong, so let's fix it. I can't think of a single situation really where that's happened, but would it be something that I would take and consider and fix? Yes, of course. Of course. So from that comment, that pretty much told me nothing. I asked for, what was wrong and there was nothing specific. So I said, what issue? Give me specifics. Because if I have a bad reputation, this is news to me. I had no idea that my husbandry has this bad reputation, if this is true. So then they said nonstop handling. I ignored that. I understand that some people don't handle their tarantulas at all. So much respect to them. I've made videos about this topic. There's nothing I needed to say to this because I've already said it in videos multiple times. So I didn't have anything to say about that. So I reiterated, husbandry, give me some examples. I'd love to improve my husbandry. If you honestly have suggestions, send them my way. So then they kind of went on to say, my jumping spider enclosures are so sad, like legitimately so sad, just a lazy keeper, to be honest. Now, I don't mean to toot my own horn here, but my jumping spider enclosures are pretty freaking cool. Like, I really like my jumping spider enclosures, so that kind of threw me off a little bit. So I said, you give no examples, just that I'm bad. So here it is again. My husbandry is terrible. It's so depressing. I'm a horrible keeper, but yet they can't give me a single critique that actually makes sense on what's wrong with anything. So then they said, all you have in your jumping spider enclosures are a wet paper towel. So that's not true, except my babies. When I'm rearing babies, yeah, you don't put babies on substrate. That makes no sense. You do not do that. Paper towel works great for jumping spider babies. And yes, I do put a paper towel in there and wet it occasionally just so that they can get a little bit of humidity. But for the most part, I do not put anything else in there. I have tried putting fake plants in with the jumping spiders and they've always ignored it. I'll have 100 in a jar and not a single one of them will web on the plant. They all web on the very top. And if you keep jumping spiders, if you've bred jumping spiders, you know that they just kind of typically ignore the rest of the enclosure for the most part. So I just said the babies, yep, and they said, so because they're babies, you treat them poorly, sad. No, I house them appropriately, but okay, it's just standard. Then I sent a photograph of my jumping spider enclosures and they said, there's a reason so many people in the hobby on you. Again, news to me, but okay. And I said, what is wrong with my jumping spider enclosures? And they said, those are adult jumpers. I'm talking about the babies. And I said, yeah, the babies have a paper towel that I spray down until they are older. However, I pass them on before then. And so I quoted them and I said, so my adult enclosures are not bad. And they said, once again, I'm talking about the babies. So they didn't answer my question. So I asked again, so the adult ones are good? Sure. Okay, thank you. And I just said, I gave you a chance to clarify what the problem is with my husbandry and why I'm a horrible keeper. And the only example you give is that I keep my jumping spiders simple until they grow a little. And then they said you can't even keep your animals alive, proper shit keeper, and then they blocked me, so I blocked them back, which does not make sense because it's not hard to tell that I have like a ton of tarantula. I'm not even arguing it. How long have I had Chai? Like, legitimately, how long have I had Chai? Yeah, I don't even need to go more into detail about that. But basically, I gave one of these like haters an opportunity to specify what is wrong with my husbandry, and they could not name a single legitimate issue, which just kind of wastes my time. And at this point, it just makes me like, I guess it makes me feel better to know that there was nothing where he was like, oh, this is what's wrong, and I just had to sit back and think about it for a minute and be like, well, shit, you're right. So it is a relief that I still don't feel like my husbandry is depressing. But let me just, one other comment that I just kind of want to talk about really quick, because I didn't even talk to this person beyond the initial reaction, but they said at least Dave doesn't keep them in fanariums on cocoa fiber. Also, he doesn't constantly buy more, even though he cannot look after the ones he already has. And I said, I haven't kept my tarantulas on cocoa fiber in literally years. What? And I promised critter keepers, which is what a fanarium is, I guess, because I don't call them that. I mostly use tarantula cribs instead for the past year or more. So you are comparing videos I made 3 or 4 years ago when I first began, when I did things most beginners do. How is it fair to compare my oldest videos from when I literally just got tarantulas and housed them on Eco Earth, and how are you going to compare that to Dave, who's been doing this for literal decades? Of course his care is better now than mine was 4 years ago. Of course it is. He has decades on me. If you really want to keep it fair, compare his care decades ago to my care 3 or 4 years ago. That's more fair than comparing a 3-year-old husbandry video to Dave's current really nice bioactive setups. That's the tea. That's what happened. That's what's been going on. I support Dave. I support all of my fellow creators, and we support each other. And when situations like this happen and people try to pin us against each other or try to compare or compete our channels against each other, it makes literally no sense, because although we are kind of doing the same thing, we're literally not. We all have our own methods, our own ways, and you are free to like somebody else's methods over my own. You are definitely free to like another channel over another, but that's why there's variety, so that everybody can kind of pick and choose what content they want to consume. I'm going to appeal more to certain people. Dave is going to appeal to certain people. While we're all doing like the same thing, we're not. And that's it.